One hot guest to a hotter guest. Bryan Platt's in the studio with me today, and Bryan is heads up Southern Oregon Right to Life, Jackson County Right to Life. What are you? You're just, I don't know. He's just Mr. Right to Life here, and I tell you, his passion. He and I have gone to jail together. What kind of, sort of? I'd be your cellmate.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I know.
You bet.
He and I have we've been through some battles, but anyway, he's here today to talk about something that I hope and really pray that two things. That your church will get behind this, and you pastors will announce it Sunday, and then you listening and watching today will go out and do this for what, an hour?
Yeah, an hour. Just an hour.
1 hour.
Goes like that.
Okay, tell us what it is.
Well, what it is this is an annual event, and it's actually not a right to life program. This is from a ministry, a pro-life ministry called Please Let Me Live. They were the ones that originally came up with this concept. It's been around since the late 80s, and it's become national in scope. But it's the first Sunday of every October. And what it is it's 1 hour of prayer on a nationwide basis to stop abortion, to end abortion. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Simple as that.
You know, sometimes, Perry, I think, well, we've talked about this a million times. I mean, we just get hung up in just the go, go, go. We got to get this done, and if nobody else is going to do it, you know, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get it done. And the bottom line to all this, Perry, is it's a spiritual battle. Yeah. And if we don't petition the Lord, you know, we don't really have a very good shot at taking care of this problem.
Unless the Lord builds a house, it's
you know, so what they've done is they've come up with some signage. So everybody, there are plenty of signs. There's no problem there. Just bring yourself and just a contrite spirit. And we're going to stand on the corners of McAndrews and Biddle. We'll spread out down those sidewalks.
Those four corners. Yeah.
Those four corners. We'll meet at the Blue Sky Plaza, in the parking lot there at the Blue Sky Plaza. There's plenty of parking there on a Sunday afternoon. And we'll pray for an hour. It's not a social event. We would prefer that participants don't engage in discussions with each other. Now, if a passerby wants to become involved in a discussion, that's fine. I mean, it's no problem. But the purpose is to pray, to stop abortion. I mean, it's just sometimes we got to get back to the basics.
Yeah, back to the basics. Yeah. All right, what time?
Well, we'll be there by 2:30. You know, something like that, 2:30 in the afternoon. So plenty of time to get home from church and relax a little bit and have something to eat. The actual event goes from 3 to 4.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I really want to encourage viewers and listeners to do this because you said it so correctly. It is the simplest, purest thing we can do on this whole issue. It is a spiritual battle. God can change minds that we could never change.
Absolutely.
And we're in a critical moment in this nation's history. You know, the Deuteronomy 6 scripture that talks about choose life.
Oh boy.
And that's where we are. And yet we're seeing some encouraging signs to the whole issues of abortions, and there's some things turning around, but we have an administration that's not friendly on this issue. But this is something people can do, and I would hope that Sunday the weather's going to be fine. It's going to be cool.
It's going to be gorgeous.
Yeah, just go home after church, maybe, you know, have something to eat, and come back out for an hour, 3 to 4 there at the corner of Biddle and McAndrews, and you'll tell them what to do.
Yeah, you know, and just logistically, Perry, you know, a lawn chair is fine. An umbrella, if the sun is an issue, is fine. We'd love to have children there, although they need to be kept under close supervision because of how busy that intersection is, even on a Sunday afternoon. But, you know, Perry, the church has the power.
Yeah.
The church has the power. The pastors need to become involved in this. They need to encourage this. They need to preach to this issue. And then the laity needs to take the action, you know, and so it's so simple. This is just as simple of an event as there can possibly be. Something that prayer for ending abortion is something that we should all be doing on a daily basis anyhow.
Well, you know, Bryan, our fellow soldier in this battle, Dave Crow, watches the numbers on Christian voter registration throughout the entire country. And it is real simple. I mean, the statistics are there. If Christians will register to vote, that's number one, and then vote, there isn't an election in this country they can't turn.
Well, and this is in a way, this event is a really unique blend of the spiritual component, the prayer part, petitioning the only one who can really change people's hearts and minds, and in a sense a social activism akin to voting, where we're actually standing in a public location we're not in our closet praying. We're out in a public location, petitioning the Lord in the public's view. So it's kind of a unique blend that way. I really like it.
Oh, that's great. So anyway, it's coming up Sunday, corner of Biddle and McAndrews. Be there a little before 3 o'clock, and the actual prayer event goes from 3 to 4. Are you seeing any kind of change in minds and attitudes? And I say this respectfully, but the church has kind of went closed in on this issue. Are they opening back up?
Well, as you know, we just went through a pretty frustrating battle in an attempt to get on the ballot a petition that was clearly pro-life.
It was a no-brainer.
Well, I mean, it really was. And there are a number of issues that we still have obstacles with. One, I think there still is, this is probably not the right word, ignorance, a lack of understanding in the pastoral leadership of what is legal and appropriate that they can do within the confines of their church without violating their 501c3 status. I think we still have obstacles there. I think there are still Christians that say Jesus is coming.
Why bother?
Why bother? Because this is the Lord's will that it just be this way. And then there's apathy. Well, and then there's a fourth one, I guess you would say, and you addressed it earlier today, and that is that a lot of Christians don't even realize they're not registered to vote until it's too late. Yeah. And so, I think we're fighting all of those things at the human level. And, it begins with the church, it begins with the pastors, and then responsibility transfers to the church lady. We've got to get out there, we've got to become socially involved. And that's, like I say, that's kind of what's neat about this. It's a combination of a spiritual aspect and a social aspect, which is correct to me from a scriptural standpoint.
No question about it. There's another part of this too. I think there's this assumption that a Christian organization, call it the church or whatever, a Christian organization is assumed automatically to be pro-life. So this doesn't really need to be discussed because we're Christian, we support life, it's an automatic thing. But if it's not literally told that from the pulpit, if the pulpit doesn't come out and say, yes, we believe that life issue is important, and to the point where we want you to get involved or support or do these things. And by the way, I'll just say on the 501c3 thing, from what I understand, and I've watched this carefully, the only thing that a pastor and a profit organization can do, a Christian organization, you cannot publicly endorse a candidate.
What they call a candidate advocacy, so that's correct.
You can't do that. Anything else, any issue, any ballot measure, anything else like that, you are more than free to talk to.
Now, we could do a whole show on this whole issue of whether this Lyndon Johnson's law, from the 1950s is a legitimate law or not. It's a very intriguing question. Right. But leaving that as it may, the only thing that a church officially cannot do is endorse a candidate. They can bring candidates into the church on an equal basis and say, here they are, let them speak for themselves as to their views. No problem there. But the pastor can't stand up and I support Mr. Smith for this particular office, whatever that might be.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that is that, Rick Warren hosted the presidential debate in his church. And so those are things that shows the illegal aspect. But when it comes to this life issue, I think that the life issue is the cornerstone of the philosophy as to whether or not we remain God-centered or not. If we don't get the life issue down, everything else to me is...
I appreciate that, Perry, and I would say to you, just in sitting in your church, when was the last time your pastor said, Jesus Christ died on the cross for all of our sins, including the sin of abortion? I think there's a fear in the pastoral leadership to even broach the subject in a lot of churches. They're afraid of offending someone. I don't know what it is, but I would appeal to the pastors to really have a soul searching about, addressing the issue directly head on. Maybe not, not in a peripheral fashion, but let's take this issue head on and let these people out there, women and men. I mean, this affects women and men. Let's deal with the loss. Let's deal with the hurt.
The other thing is, too, those who have had an abortion, who are sitting in a church, the best thing we could do for you is reach out to you and say, if you haven't dealt with that God will forgive you and has forgiven you, and there's life beyond this pain that you've been holding in. And I know that the post-abortion syndrome is a serious issue.
It is indeed.
And there's healing for you. There's a future for you. There's a hope for you. There's a loving God that says, come to me and I will heal you and give you rest. Well, listen. Sunday is it, and I would really hope that you will meet there in the Blue Sky Plaza area, 2:45-ish.
2:45-ish, yeah, to get a sign and find a spot. And you know, Lord willing, we'll have a ton of people there. It's great weather, and we'll spread out down away from those corners. It's really a powerful scene to see.
1 hour. 1 hour.
1 hour.
You're just going to stand on a street corner and pray to the Lord to change hearts and minds concerning abortion and stop it. And also coming up, let's see, Thursday is the Rogue Valley Pregnancy Center's banquet. So there's another thing that you can, if you're not signed up for that, do that. Hey, Bryan, thanks, buddy. And keep up the good work. We'll see you out there.
Perry.
All right, we'll see you next time on Focus Today.